Ariel Helwani at UFC 148 alongside the former Strikeforce middleweight champion Cung Lee, who faces Patrick Cote this Saturday night live on pay-per-view. And Cung, it is good to see you again. It has been a while, my friend, and of course we were looking forward to your fight against Rich Franklin. It switched. It's now Patrick Cote. Were you initially a little disappointed that you weren't fighting a legend like Rich Franklin?
Yes, I was very disappointed, but you know what? I looked at the bigger picture is I'm still fighting. And, can't overlook Patrick Cote because even though he's been out of the UFC, he's got 4-fight win streak underneath his belt right now, and he's hungry to come back. But I'm very hungry to get my first win in UFC.
Are you surprised that the odds makers have him listed as the favorite?
I'm not surprised at all. You know, he's got more fights than I do, so that means more experience, means the odds should be, in his favor.
He said he hasn't really trained with anyone who has your style of fighting, Sanchu style, because he thinks you're the best, and what's the point in trying to replicate that style? Do you think that's a mistake?
I believe that you definitely need to see what's coming, and but that's what he says, so I don't know. I can't answer that for him or for you, because one, he can come in and confidence alone wins a lot of fight. But when you have two guys that's very confident, it's going to be comes down to who's done their homework more, and I've done my homework.
Now, you've done your homework, you say, but have you been able to find his fights outside the UFC, his last recent fights, to really try to find out, who this new Patrick Cote is, what he's made of?
Yes, I have saw all 4 fights, and what I do is I don't want to study these fights. I just want to see enough, the movement, the angles, and you overstudy it. For me, sometimes you tend to look for things, and in a fight, you don't want to look for things. You want to take what's open and defend what's coming.
I must say, I remember talking to you April 2009 for your big movie premiere in New York City in your hotel room, and it sounded to me like there was a very good chance Cung Lee would never fight again, that you were content with what you had done. You were in Strikeforce at the time, and obviously the UFC deal wasn't out there, but it just seemed like, movies, it's all good, and you were going to sort of go down that path. Now here you are, fighting for the second time in the UFC, coming off a big fight against Vanderlei Silva. What drives you to keep fighting at this age of yours?
What drives me to keep fighting is just the competition. And I've been with Strikeforce because of Scott Coker, but I've always wanted to be part of UFC because it's like the flagship, and to be part of UFC, I felt like you're in the major leagues now. From the AAA minor leagues or whatever, you've made it. And if I'm able to still compete, then I'm going to compete as long as I could, because for me, whenever I get these opportunities doing movies, if the movie's big enough, I'm definitely going to jump on it. But I've turned down a lot of small parts or even bigger parts, but small movies that doesn't really excite me that much, because I'm excited about fighting. But if something that's going to be a career changer, like The Man with the Iron Fist, and to star in my own movie with Dragon Eyes and choreograph all my own fights, and then work with a legendary film director from China like Wong Kar-wai and Master Wu Ping at the same time, those are the things that you can't turn down. And that's why I didn't turn it down. And other parts came in that I didn't really know the director, I didn't know the cast, and the crew wasn't that great, so I passed, because my true passion is fighting, competing, and doing martial arts. And if I'm able to do it in both arenas, I'm going to try to do it as long as I could.
Is there a chance this could be your last fight?
There was a chance that my last fight was my last fight against Vanderlei. So you never know. Every day I wake up is a gift. So I have another a fight here, and I woke up today. I've been blessed. So I'm just grateful to be alive and to have all that I have.
We just interviewed the Honorable Sensei Seagal, a true martial arts legend. You're a martial arts legend as well. What do you think of his influence and what he's given to the sport of MMA? Do you feel as though the sport is in a better place today than before he was involved?
That's Steven Seagal?
Yeah, Sensei Seagal.
Okay. Sensei Seagal, I don't think he's done that much for the sport.
Are you kidding?
For MMA.
A little disrespectful.
I think the fighters from Anderson to Randy Couture to Chuck Liddell to all the guys who put in the work, the sweat, did all the work. He came in and he took some credit from Anderson, and
He's riding his coattails?
I think so. I mean, no disrespect, but I'm just speaking the truth in my mind, and you know, it wasn't him because it's why UFC and MMA is so big. It's because of UFC, because of the Fertittas and Dana White and all the athletes. So that's what I got to say. So
I gotta say I'm a little surprised and disappointed.
that's your opinion. I got
Okay,
mine.
final thing. Let's move along from that because it's going to be a little awkward between us. Frank Shamrock, a man you know very well, a guy you're linked to. Thus far, your most famous win. He's been in the news lately with Tito Ortiz going into the Hall of Fame. People think he should be in the UFC Hall of Fame. Do you agree?
I agree. Frank Shamrock should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I mean, he had an amazing fight with Tito, and after that, Tito took over from there, and Frank, went on his path, and that's what happened.
All right, Cung. Well, despite your comments about Sensei, we appreciate the time as always, and we wish you good luck on Saturday night.
Okay.